Welcome to Promo Insiders, an ASI media podcast that covers the issues that matter the most to the promotional products industry. I'm Sami Marshak for ASI, and today we'll be talking about ASI's new 2024 NBio research. Here to join me today is Nate Kucsma, the Senior Executive Director of Research. Nate, thanks for being here with me today.
Hi, Sammy. My pleasure, as always, to talk research with my colleagues.
Yeah, thanks. So to dive in, this NBio research is the first of its kind. Can you tell me about the need for this type of research and why there hasn't been research on NBIOs yet, or a lot of research on
Yeah,
NBIOs yet?
sure. I mean, God, it's probably been 10 years since ASI last did anything on end buyers.
Hmm.
There's a lot of reasons for it, right? One is that they're hard to find. Like it's a hard segment. You got to be very specific with who you're looking for. So there's that. It costs money, and you have to have an organization like ASI who's responsible, who sees the need for it, who talks to our members.
Hmm.
And we've been hearing from our members, you know, throughout the years. We really want to know what the end buyers are thinking, whether it's in by industry or by generation, right, by age or where they live. And you know, so I would say for the last 10 years, we really done a lot of research focusing on consumers. And
Hmm.
that's part of our ad impression study, where we're looking at the overall value and impact that promotional products have
Hmm.
to the consumer's perception of the company, likelihood to do business, things like that.
Yeah.
But we're constantly being asked, we know about the consumers. We have the stats. You guys have done a great job, but we really want to know about the end buyers. So what we did was we took a little bit of a hiatus from the ad impressions
Hmm.
study looking at consumers, and we made a concerted effort this year to interview hundreds upon hundreds of end buyers across different industries because it's really what our distributor members are looking for. They're looking to understand at a macro level,
Right.
what exactly it is that is important to end buyers, and that's
Yeah.
what I think we've been able to accomplish as part of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, so you touched on that briefly on how it could impact end buyers on a macro level, but what do you think is the main influence that this research could have, or can you give it a specific example of how that could impact end buyers?
Yeah, so I'm like, it's really simple. Like what I
Hmm.
my hope is that when people look at the results of this study, they're going to see some things that they kind of think they already knew, and this confirms it. And they're also going to see some things that'll open their eyes a little bit. Like with all of our research, we do our research for the benefit of our members. It's a benefit of being an ASI
Hmm.
member. And what I'm hoping that everybody does is that they take a few minutes every week. And I mean, that's really all we're talking about, like
Yeah.
5, 10 minutes every week to review what is being published about that segment that we're publishing. And that way, when you're going to talk to your clients and you're going to talk to the end buyers that they're dealing with about why they should use promo, you can also understand what's important to them. What are they most likely to be interested in? What are the value propositions that will resonate most with that particular segment of end buyer? And you can do that. You can also then feel it out. Like, is this important to that person? It's sort
Hmm.
of like I almost want to say like it's an entryway into a better understanding of your clients, and that's really what the hope of the study is. That's how I really want people to use it.
Yeah, and I think it could also give some people the courage to look into new segments to bring their sales to because they'll get more of a read on what end
I
buyers
agree.
want. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so let's talk about the I always mess this word up. The methodology methodolo
Methodology. I'll get
methodology.
you'll get there. You'll get there soon enough.
Okay, let's talk about the methodology for the Envire survey. So how did you finalize the questions that you wanted to ask? Because I know you worked with a market research company, an external
Yeah.
one. So how did you work with the market research company? What was the process like? Can you give us like yeah, can you give us more insight into that?
Sure. So fortunately, nobody has a better understanding, I feel, of the promotional products industry than ASI. And
Hmm.
we work with some of the finest journalists I've worked with in editorial, right? So it was sort of a multi-stage process, right? First, we had to go out and find a company who could actually get end buyers, right? Which is not the easiest thing in the world to do. So when you find that, then you develop internally here at ASI. We would develop a set of questions. So I would develop the initial set, then I would send it to my colleagues to get
Hmm.
their feedback on. Then we share with the research company, Everything is programmed in. And then what we do is we run a test, right? And the test is before you go, because research is expensive, especially when you're doing it like this.
Yeah.
It's not it's way far from free, right? So what you do is you run a test on just one specific industry,
Hmm.
and you get the results in for that, and you see if the questions seem to make sense, if the answers make sense.
Hmm.
There's nothing that you missed. And then once that's done and everything's been sort of vetted, then you roll out the study in full. And we rolled it out from just one industry, which was the test, to 7 additional industries. And as part of that, we also have a bunch of different demographic segments that we can look at as well. So that's the methodology for it. It's an online survey, but we worked with an external company who had access
Got it.
to these individuals.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, what was the initial test? What industry did you test first?
I
And
want
then,
to say, and I don't recall because I think it was construction. I
okay.
believe it was construction. No,
Yeah.
wait,
All
check.
right.
Automotive. It was automotive. I
Automotive.
remember it. Automotive.
That was also the first end buyer segment that we rolled out.
Yes,
So it's funny.
purely by coincidence.
Yes, purely by coincidence. And what was the timeline for sending out the survey and getting the responses, analyzing the responses, and then starting? Like, what was the whole process like
Yeah, so the study,
time-wise? Mhm.
the study was first conceptualized in September.
Okay.
And that's when we really first started to, go about and, think about what it is that we want to do. What can we provide our members with? What are they looking for? We launched the initial pilot of the study in November.
Hmm.
Full research was fielded from December 2023 through January 2024. And the first reporting of it was right in April. So
Yeah, very
public reporting.
recent.
So it was done pretty, this is pretty recent. This data is
Yeah.
not dated by any means. This is all 2023 into 2024 data.
Yeah, we got the exclusive look.
We do.
So you said that you surveyed about 100 end buyers per industry, right?
Yep.
And th was there any like variation with that?
There's always variation with it, right? But
Yeah.
what's surprising is it's important to understand that there's going to be variation, but there's only going to be so much, right? It's not like
Mhm.
this one specific thing is important to 90% of the end buyers in the automotive industry, but only 10% in construction, because
Yes.
generally you're still dealing with business people, right?
Hmm.
So you're dealing with business people, you're dealing with people who are still dealing with clients, with prospects, with their own employees. So what you want to do is you really want to look at this and say, okay, just you can look at them, in specifically for that industry that you're looking at. I think that's important to do. Don't When you compare industries, there's going to be differences, right? Some
Yeah.
things are going to be more important. Some industries are going to be more environmentally concerned, right? Some about more made in the USA. Some are going to be more interested in certain types of products, which we
Right.
also cover in this, right? What
Yeah.
products are they most likely to have purchased?
Hmm.
But there's differences, but I don't want it to make it seem like it's a 0-16 football team versus the
Yeah.
undefeated New England Patriots are back in the day at my New York Giants beat. Right? We're not going to talk about that, but like
Yeah.
it's not like that big of a difference, but there's definitely differences between them.
Okay. And that kind of ties into my next question about limitations with the survey. Any limitations that you feel important to mention that our audience should be aware about?
No, I don't think so. There's so much limitations.
Hmm.
I would say though, make sure when you read it, right, you're using it as I always say you're using it as a jumping off point to better understand your clients, right? So when
Right.
you go to meet your clients, you at least will know what the majority of end buyers are thinking about. And is it a good chance that your client might be concerned about some of the same things? I think it absolutely is. Will it be across the board 100%? No, that's not the way research works. But I think just use it as a learning point. Learning is a jumping off point. This is not pure complete science here. We didn't do a census of every end buyer in the United States,
Yes.
but we got a good cross section, a random cross section across the industries.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so far we've published the manufacturing, the automotive, and the hospitality industries. And out of the markets that we've covered so far, and keep in mind for the audience or whoever is listening, that these will be rolled out on a weekly basis. So
Yep,
there's 26 total demographics, and so this'll take us a chunk of 5, 6 months. So
well,
yeah. So overall, like what trends did you observe in the segments that have been rolled out that have confirmed your previous understanding of end buyer habit?
nothing. I want to be honest.
Nothing.
I don't. I've learned over my career to go into research
Hmm.
with an open mind, and that's without any preconceived notions about what is important or what isn't important.
Right.
Because the reality is, I don't, you know, then as a researcher, I try to be as neutral as humanly possible, right?
Yeah.
And I like to be surprised, and I like to learn things. That's one of the great things about what I do is
Yeah.
you can be intellectually curious and still, every day. I've been in this industry for 10 years. I've been doing research for quite a while now, well north of 2 decades, right? And every day I'm still surprised by something I learn.
Yeah.
And for me, that's the best thing. I would say that if I though had to pick like some of the things, one of the questions we ask is what is the key value that a promotional products consultant, right, like a
Hmm.
distributor, can provide to your business? And when you're talking about things like you could save them money, give them better targeted products. I think what you want to do is realize that your clients are coming to you for that level of expertise. And that was a question that we asked specifically so that people could understand by segment, right?
Right.
What was the most important value that they were bringing to their clients? So I don't know that anything like that is surprising, but it sure is interesting to me
Yeah.
because it kind of level sets. Like if we think that we're just product consultants or idea consultants, that's fine, right? Um, but when you actually look at what the clients think about you and what is the key value you're bringing, that's where I think it can get very, very interesting, and it can sort of give you a different mindset as well when you're talking to them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that as someone that's been assisting with the research, and I wasn't so surprised that like for the manufacturing industry, for example, that they have the highest percentage out of any ASI market surveyed of people that value, like as we were talking about, like made in the USA,
Yeah.
just for keeping like production inside the US. So I think that like our research kind of confirms that
Hmm.
and enlightens that, which is something that like I wouldn't be surprised about, but actually like gets defined
And
through the
when you see
infographic.
something like that, especially
Hmm.
like let's use manufacturing as an example, because manufacturing is a very and it's an industry where made in the USA tends to be quite important, right? To
Right,
the end buyers. And they're the ones who are asking for it. That's like, again, if I guess if you could think about it, right, does that make sense? Yeah, it does. But do you know that's a fact until you do the research? You don't. I think that's really
right.
one of the fun parts.
Yeah, definitely. And from those markets, are there any findings or results that stood out to you that you think distributors should pay attention to? That anything in specific?
Well, definitely what I just mentioned about what is the
Right.
key value you're bringing to your clients, but
Hmm.
also, it would be great. Like one of the things we have in there, which to my knowledge has never been done, is we looked at what were the leading products that uh, each of the end buyers in these industries, um, I guess you could say, would be most amenable to. Like it gives you some
Yeah.
guidance as to what products
Hmm.
they've used in the recent past.
Hmm.
How great would it be as if you knew you were going to meet with a client for the first time, right? Open introduction, and you go in there and you look, okay, well, I'm going to meet with this, you know, trade school, right? Based on ASI's end buyer research, I see that the top three products that they're most likely to be interested in are drinkware, t-shirts, and
Right.
mobile power banks. Let's start
Hmm.
as an example, right? You can go in there and you can say to your client, based on research that the organization I belong to does, I know that for your segment, these are three of the most sought after items. I already have some. You want to take a look at them. And if you think about like the foreplanning that would give you and the overall insight that your client would then think you have into what they are actually looking for, it's pretty huge because it's not just a gut feeling. You're not going in there with one size fits all. You're actually making it customized. So I think that'd be a really good use of this research.
Yeah. And I think also the ability to cross compare. So for example, like this is a very specific example, but the hospitality industry, that 44% of end buyers purchase drinkware.
Hmm.
And that's the highest percentage out of any ASI
Yeah.
industry. And just looking at the number like 44%, you might not think that's a lot, but then comparatively it is a lot. So it just puts things into perspective too, and things that you might not have really thought about. And I'm not sure exactly why maybe drinkware is the most important to hospitality, but maybe just like you can use it in any restaurant, any
Yeah.
yeah,
And if you think
but
about it, like, hospitality, in hospitality, everybody's kind of working on site, right? For the most
right.
part, like, especially there's a lot of on, I mean, there's corporate offices, right? But clearly they're working on site. So what do you want to have? You want everything branded that if your employees are walking around with a
Yeah.
water bottle or a travel mug, they want everything. You want everything branded. You want the napkins branded. You want the coasters branded.
Hmm.
You want everything in the bars branded, right? That's what it kind of is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Hmm.
So, yeah, no, and from a hospitality point of view, that's a big number. If you think,
Yeah.
44% have had, purchase promo drinkware in the last year or two, that's pretty big. That's a big number.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, so to kind of move to different topic, across most industries, like the percentage of overall marketing budgets on promo ranges
Mhm.
from 20% to 40%, like somewhere in that ballpark.
Right.
What can distributors do to increase and buyers' marketing budgets?
Well, I think the first thing is understand what the average is for the industry, and then
Hmm.
figure out for the clients that you have in that industry where you're at.
Hmm.
So you can always ask your clients. I don't think there's any harm with that. The worst they can say is, "I'm not telling you." Right?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's an acceptable answer in business. But if you find
Hmm.
out and you're talking to a local car dealership, right, that says, well, I'm spending 10% of my overall marketing budget on promo, and you can say, okay, I mean, I understand that, but based on industry averages,
Right.
what I'm letting you know is that on average, clients in the automotive industry are spending X percent. So what that does is that putting in your clients' mind that they may not be spending enough on it because their peers are spending more. It also lets you know where your clients are stacking up vis-a-vis the overall industry averages.
Hmm. And if they ask, well, what type of clients in the automotive industry are spending the most on promo, we
Mhm.
do have the research on company sizes and
We,
the,
we we
yeah,
do, but it doesn't always go down to the industry level. So what we did
okay.
was that we wanted to create things. We wanted to come up with ways to divide the data that you could actually overall that could be you could that our members could kind of figure out
Hmm.
on their own without having to ask too much detail, right? So one of the questions we ask is that we segment the data on is we do industry, but we also do size of company. So small, medium, large, and really large
Right.
companies. And that's based on number of employees. So you can always ask that as part of your exploration calls with clients, right? How many employees are there?
Yeah.
We do it also by region of the country,
Hmm.
something, and that we use census regions. Um, so that's another way that's very easy
Yeah.
to sort of hone in on. If they're from the Northeast, the Midwest, the Pacific, the South, that's easy. And the other way is by the age
Hmm.
of the person that you're dealing with. Maybe a little bit harder to, pin down, especially if you're just talking to them on the phone. But you can when you talk to somebody and you meet them, you kind of can figure out sort of how old somebody is, maybe. Um, but what you do is once you do that, you see the differences in breaks. And right now we're at a point where we're breaking things more or less still by gender.
Okay.
Not by
Yeah.
gender, not by gender. I'm sorry, by what's
Industry.
the word here?
Concerned about
Gen Z, Gen X, Millennial. I'm
Uh-huh.
blanking on the word here. Um,
Baby boomer.
yeah, we're doing it by. I'm trying to remember what the term is for those. Anyway, I'm
Oh,
blanking on it.
generation?
Generations, not genders, generations. We're
Okay.
breaking them by generations
Mhm.
just because it's easier to do and it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because because everybody always shows differences by generations.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious about my generation,
For sure.
specifically Gen Z. But out of the markets we've already published, have you gotten any feedback from distributors? What has the feedback been, if you have gotten feedback.
Yeah, no, I received emails from people that I do focus groups at every one of our shows, and every once in a while I'll get
Mhm.
feedback from some of the participants. And I got feedback from some of our participants in the Fort Worth show, only because I'd mentioned to them that this was upcoming because it came up
Mhm.
as part of one of the discussions we were having about what can ASI do and provide to you to help you grow your business. So that started to come up, and that's always it's always nice to hear that it's hitting the mark with regards because these things take a lot of effort from a research point of view, but especially from a reporting point of view.
Yep. That's very true. And so we've kind of touched on this already, but what does the audience have to look forward to regarding the research that we still have to release?
It's going to be a very regular cadence of releases, right? It's not
Hmm.
everything at once. It's going to be on a weekly basis. You can look online. What we're going to have, I think in the next week or two, we'll have a special place on the ASI Central Market Research site specifically for these studies where everything will be going. So what I would say is just keep your eyes open for it. It's always going to be in Promogram. It will be on the front page of ASI Central News, and then it will also be on the market research site
Yeah,
very shortly.
awesome. And last question, what further direction can we take this research? Any ideas for additional topics of study?
Yeah, I would say everybody can reach out directly to me or you, right, with
Yeah.
suggestions for research. But what I would say is, are there any specific industries? We're doing 8 of the biggest industries in
Hmm.
promo, right? We're doing manufacturing, construction, education, healthcare, tech, hospitality, retail, and one more that automotive.
Automotive.
Bam, I
Yeah.
got them all. So, well, here's what I'll say to everybody listening.
Hmm.
If there's any industries you are specifically interested in, reach out to us. We have money that we spend every year on this type of research for our members. And the way that it doesn't take a lot to get what you're interested in into our research plan, because for the people that reach out, I'm almost guaranteed to do something for them. And it doesn't
Hmm.
cost them anything. It's just something that we do for the industry as a whole. But please
Yeah.
reach out directly to nkucsma@asicentral.com or
SMARSHAK ASA oh my God, at ASICentral.com.
there you are.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Nate. That's Nate Kucsma, Executive Director of Research at ASI. Thanks for listening to our discussion about ASI's 2024 and bio research, and thanks for your time. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sam.
Bye.